Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. We are live tonight in conjunction with my good friend who's going to join us in just one moment, Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen Reports, live on our YouTube channel, Rumble, as well as Mark's Twitter and YouTube channel. Very somber show tonight. We decided to go live for the tragedy that took place just hours ago, the brutal assassination of a political icon, a patriot, a man that seemingly is loved by everybody in the MAGA movement, in the Republican wing of politics, hated by the leftists because he's a patriot. Charlie Kirk assassinated earlier this afternoon on a campus in Utah. I want to bring in Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen Reports, as I said, streaming live tonight on both of our pages. Mark, as always, it's great to have you here. Great to be with you, vice versa. I think your mic is muted, but just a tragedy on where we sit right now, Mark. I wonder if we could begin with first, talk about how we got to this situation, Mark, how we got to this point in America. And I think this video right here could paint a better picture of just how we got here.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there is unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
I mean, great job by the folks at Alderman Poll who put that together, Mark. But this is the new reality with what we're faced with, Mark. 10 years of political violence by one side.
Yeah, 100%. This is so predictable, like seeing this coming, because we've been polling on the violent rhetoric for a really long time. I mean, we had a Trump assassination attempt, but they've been using words like this for a really long time. And I think the main problem is that they had an entire establishment that worked in unison in order to maintain power. And people believed them. They had trust. You know, there was authority. People trusted the elites. They listened to talking heads on the news. They paid attention to them. And bit by bit, they've had to lie more and more and more. And as people have woken up, they've lost their grip because they pushed too hard. And what we've had over the last 5 years is what I think is essentially probably the largest mass psychological operation that's ever been played on the American populace. And that has outcome. Like, this is what they've reaped. Like, they gaslit everybody about the election. They lied to everybody's faces about COVID. They tried to say that Trump was a fascist. They tried to paint his supporters as violent. They turned January 6th into something that it was not. And those lies have gotten worse and worse. And the people that continue to believe them have become more and more demented. And so we got to the point where now 43% of America thinks there's going to be a civil war. The majority of people on both sides thought there was going to be a violent reaction to the outcome of the 2024 election. And yet there are people waking up, because after Trump's assassination attempt, we asked, well, why did this happen? Are these crazies just trying to assassinate Trump because they're associated with suffering from mental illness? Or are they motivated by the rhetoric of Trump's enemies? And that one won 49 to 36%. So the people are starting to see through it, but I don't think they have another game. I think they have nothing left but to stoke this rhetoric, to get these violent crazies out there. And they're doing it like that. We're going to see more of this. There are whole communities on Reddit that are out there trying to teach trans people how to shoot guns. We're going to see more of this.
And it comes at somebody's expense, Mark. I just want to give the audience an update here. This is just moments ago by FBI Director Kash Patel. The subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Thank you to the local and state authorities in Utah for your partnership with the FBI. We will provide you updates when able. I just want to preface that with there were some images going around on Twitter of a man in his 50s, 60s, that they had taken into custody. It turns out he wasn't the shooter, they believe. He was taken into custody for obstruction of justice, and that's what he's been charged with and locked up with right now. So I just want to clarify that for the audience. They had released the police recordings of the dispatch. The man was believed to be wearing a black mask, a black shirt, and jeans with a vest on. Of course, mask marked like a coward, because none of these guys have the intestinal fortitude to walk up to somebody's face and address him with an issue. It's a man from afar who you've never seen face to face taking a shot at somebody like a coward. How much longer are people supposed to put up with this? What can be done? How much further will this go? I mean, death is the object for these people, clearly, Mark. Past that, what do you do? What are we supposed to do, Mark? This puts a target on the backs of you and I and everyone else in this country who's speaking for something, who believes for something that someone maybe on this stream doesn't agree with. I've carried a gun almost every single day of my adult life. But at the end of the day, if someone's going to shoot you in the back of the head when you're not looking, what good does that gun do you?
Yeah, out in the open when you're speaking to somebody, going to the kind of events that you and I go to. Here's the thing, and I've been saying this, I've said it on your show too. I think Donald Trump is literally the one man who is doing the most to try to fix America. But our problems are so big that he can't fix it all. Society has to decide that it wants to fix these problems. And it might fix these problems extrajudiciously. It might. And I think what happens is people get complacent, they get comfortable, and then things get bad. And so people are called to action. And sometimes that happens very, very, very fast. And I don't want it to happen, but I also want us to have a better America, one that I can entrust to my children.
Yeah.
I think what we're seeing is things accelerate very rapidly. And I've been predicting that this might potentially come to a head. But we're talking about 3 days ago. Imagine people out there like talking about a new White Lives Matter movement. What's happened just because of the North Carolina killing just in the last 2 or 3 days, and how it's completely changed the social media landscape permanently. People are talking in ways they were not talking about a year ago, about black crime statistics and things like that. Yeah. And then to have this happen on top of it. Now, listen, Trump, I think, will take strong action. They'll probably try to go after the death penalty for this individual, probably even a public execution like they're going to do with the Charlotte killer. I really think that's what they're trying to do. He might send people into blue cities now, and maybe the blue leaders will resist them. I don't know. But how is society going to change? It feels like people are changing their opinions a lot just today, and I'm not sure what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah, that stuff is all great, Mark. The death penalty, public, whatever you want to do to destroy these people and show the world who they really are. But that doesn't stop, Mark, this rhetoric that's being pumped into these people's head. Just a month ago, we saw what South Park did to Charlie Kirk and depicting him as this person and probably riling up people. There needs to be some sort of accountability, Mark, for the mainstream media that continues to perpetrate hatred in people's bones. They have blood on their hands tonight, Mark. They had blood on their hands a year ago when Donald Trump was nearly assassinated, shot in the ear.
Yeah. But what do you do, though? That's the problem. What do you charge them with? Who charges them? What court's going to convict them? That's the problem. And so what we have now, first off, the list of people who potentially did this, and this is a political assassination. It was not terrorism. Charlie Kirk has been talking, I think I've heard from people for many years about running for public office, including potentially being on a presidential ticket. And so he can't do that now. And he was very influential with young voters. It might fix the issues that we've been talking about, how Zoomers are becoming less conservative and more socialist, but also more economic populist. He could have bridged that gap, and now he can't do that. And so this was a political killing, but so far, as we know, all these individuals are just lone wolf. But until you can put it together and say, well, now there's an organization, there's people working together, the list of people who could theoretically have done this assassination is massively long. We've been letting foreign invaders in. We have CCP-connected Chinese students here on visas. We have Russia that hates us. We have our own CIA and FBI who have known to do this kind of thing in the past. It could be narco-terrorists. It could be anybody who's the enemy of Charlie Kirk, or it could be these lone wolf loonies. But are they being sicked on targets? Is there coordination? And as far as I know, that's the only next step is to answer those questions and then brutally go after it. Unless you're going to say, well, no, the media is part of organizing a terrorist network. I don't think you can do that, but I do think there's blood on their hands.
There absolutely is. And you know what, Mark? You would think after something like this would happen, at least in the intermediary of it happening, these Marxist networks, these lunatics, these psychopaths on MSNBC and CNN would take a step back and realize that it can happen to anybody. It's Charlie Kirk today, but it could be somebody else tomorrow. And that's what they don't realize. Yet, everything to them is politicized. Let's take a listen to MSNBC just moments after he was shot, blaming it on Donald Trump, saying Donald Trump is going to use this to his benefit.
Because as we were just talking about a moment ago with Alan, after one of the Doge employees was allegedly attacked in Washington, D.C., that's what Donald Trump used as justification to send in federal troops into Washington, D.C. to get things under control. The carjacking situation, he used that. And I know it's hard to predict the future, Mark, but you can imagine the administration using this as a justification for something.
I must admit, I'm at a loss to guess as to what happens next. But Kirk,
Donald Trump will use this to his advantage, Mark, just moments after he was assassinated.
Yeah. This is from the side who coined the term never waste a good crisis. The amount of hypocrisy is absolutely crazy here. But yeah, Donald Trump is a smart person. He's an opportunist. He's going to take advantage of a window. And if Democrats are going to run these horrible cities where people can't be safe, then he's going to send the troops in. And to his personal advantage, he's not doing it to enrich himself. He's trying to keep American citizens safe. And if he goes after these networks of people spreading violent rhetoric and hate, listen, I like the First Amendment as much as anybody else. And again, I think that they bear blame and culpability as like what I would expect out of a human with integrity and shame. Not necessarily that I think that they can be legally pursued, because I just don't think our laws allow for that. And we don't want laws that can be used against legitimate free speech, because we've seen how that gets twisted and only used to protect the establishment. And so maybe there's something the FCC can do. Maybe there's ties to political organizations and money. There's got to be an angle. I don't know what it is, but it needs to be the focus, because the media is causing this. The numbers of how different MSNBC watchers are from Fox News watchers, like what they fundamentally believe. There is a church on the left, and it is preaching hate. We don't tolerate it from radical Islam. Are we going to tolerate it from radical Marxism? I don't know.
I mean, clearly we've tolerated it, Mark. We've had 2 failed assassination attempts on President Trump. We watched a man be murdered who is turning 32 next month, just had a newborn baby in May. And seamlessly the media just acts like nothing goes on. But then January 6th happens, Mark, and it's the worst day that these people ever experienced. Not one Republican killed one person. There were bad actors there that were sent most likely by the government. Yet this was the worst day the country's ever seen since Pearl Harbor. Forget about 9/11. which the anniversary is tomorrow. I mean, you just look and you have to think, Mark, either these people are sick and perverse people, or they are mentally deranged. And I'm not even saying this as a joke, because it's hit that point now, Mark, when you turn on MSNBC and these people are sitting there with a straight face trying to justify this any way possible. Even big old JB Pritzker, Jabba the Hutt. Let's take a listen to what he had to say just moments after Charlie was assassinated.
My sympathy to Charlie Kirk's family and to Charlie Kirk, who obviously has, become a target for somebody. I don't know whether it's political violence because I don't know who did it. I know they seem to have somebody in custody. But I will say that political violence, unfortunately, has been ratcheting up in this country. We saw the shootings, the killings in Minnesota. We've seen other political violence occur in other states. And I would just say it's got to stop. And I think there are people who are fomenting it in this country. I think the president's rhetoric often foments it. We've seen the January 6th rioters who clearly, have tripped a new era of political violence.
I mean, Mark, it's hard to believe. I'm gonna let you get your reaction to that. To get to, we got some of your viewers over on YouTube with super chats. We're gonna give back to them as well. Go ahead, please.
I mean, it's just wild. Well, for the first half of it, I was like, wow, this guy gets it. He does feel shame. He knows it's gone too far. He's going to try and draw a line and be one of the first people to have him. Oh, no, he's blaming it on Trump. He's blaming Charlie Kirk's political assassination on Trump. Unbelievable. Donald Trump should storm Chicago with the National Guard tomorrow.
Yeah. Yep. Along with LA and New York. And these people need to wake up. And as my father used to tell me, Mark, smell the coffee. Over on Mark's YouTube, a super chat, George, the Giant Slayer. Mark, the Rubicon has
George.
The terrorists just created 1 million new Charlie Kirks. Mainstream media are evil and must be punished for telling the left that Trump, Kirk, and all MAGA are Hitler. We saw it last night too, Mark. President Trump eating dinner out with some of his people. Somehow Secret Service allowed these Palestinian protesters in that Donald Trump is Hitler.
Yeah, I think a Rubicon has been crossed. Thanks again, George. John and I haven't figured out how to bring them up yet when we do this, but yeah, Rubicon has been crossed, but I'm not sure exactly. And again, I don't want to conflate the two issues. They're different, but also related with the Charlotte killing. But these two things back to back are, I think, a really major turning point. And I think as far as the Charlotte thing, people have been saying, oh, now white people are going to rise up and there's going to be race riots. No, the wheels of justice are turning there. This is about how we frame discourse and what we tolerate. This isn't about an uprising or a revolution that's going to happen. This is about society reordering itself. And people are different now. How they talked about things just a week ago are going to be different now. And I'll tell you, like, for instance, if it does turn out that the perpetrator in this particular case was transsexual, I'll tell you, like, for instance, if it does turn out that the perpetrator in this particular case was transsexual, I'll tell you,
we get an echo.
For instance, if it does turn out that the perpetrator in this particular case was transsexual, I'll tell you,
we get an echo.
For instance, if it does turn out that the
there we go. You're there.
Oh, sorry, muted.
Yeah, we were trying to put up the super chat on the screen, but we'll figure out a better way to get it there.
There's going to be blowback. There's absolutely going to be blowback.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, what did left expects Donald Trump to do? You hear them complaining. He's sending in the National Guard here. He's going to use it this way. What is his duty as president of the United States? What are we supposed to do in a situation like this to protect people, Mark, like you and I?
Yeah. Well, I think people's norms are going to be tested. And everybody says, oh, we have a constitution, it's sacrosanct. And there are things in this country I do think are sacrosanct, like your natural law, your natural rights. Now, the Democrats, like Tim Kaine, think that those things come from the government. No, they come from God. They're bestowed by God. But oftentimes, our rights conflict with each other. And so people's rights can't 100% be guaranteed in every situation. That's part of living in a society, right? And I think that we're going to find that when we've been pushed this much, there are things that are going to have to bend and flex. And so I think what you'll find is people being a lot more tolerant to things that Trump's going to do that are well-intentioned and will help society. But a lot of people might scream at, oh, well, that's not legal or that blah, blah, blah. Well, that's what we have courts for. And the courts have obviously been testing the stuff that Donald Trump's already been doing. I think there's going to be a lot less tolerance for that. We'll see how the Supreme Court lets those people bend and flex. We'll see how different layers the district courts tolerate some of these people being radical. And we'll see if Trump just decides to ignore a lot of this stuff because, they're his own supporter, people in his own party like Rand Paul are out there attacking him for blowing up narco terrorists in the middle of the ocean, but he's not stopping. He's going to keep doing it. And people have said, oh, well, bringing in National Guards to the cities, oh, it's a slippery slope, blah, blah, blah. I think he's going to keep doing that. And these are popular things. People want order. And I think they're going to want it more after stuff like this happens.
Yeah, because everyone knew, Mark, when Donald Trump ran for president this time around, that the gloves are off. He was not going to put up with a Summer of Love 2.0. He made it clear before he ran for president, Mark. He made it clear just months ago in Los Angeles when these hooligans thought that they were going to destroy cop cars and just cause absolute riots. Most of them not even Americans, let alone should be on the streets in the first place. So he's made it clear he's not putting up with it anymore. But I think this is so much deeper, Mark, than just on the surface. Before I go a little bit deeper into that, you mentioned some of these courts. Some of these courts, Mark, are the reason why these people are on the streets in the first place. Going to that man who really murdered that girl in Charlotte, that we now have the video for it. The man was let out 12 or 14 times. These judges are a big reason, Mark, why. Now, I'm not saying this is the case in Charlie's case. As soon as we find out who the shooter is, we're going to let you know. But I'm just saying broadly, which is what President Trump now has gotten to, why he's got the National Guard in D.C. How do we hold these judges accountable? They're unimpeachable. I mean, they have lifelong sentences. What do you do to hold these people accountable for putting killers and murderers on the streets with your kids?
Yeah, that's the problem. And that case, too, is really kind of wild because there's a high-profile Senate race there. Roy Cooper is going up against Michael Whatley in 2026. It's a purplish state, and so that's one the Republicans really need to pick up. And Roy Cooper came out like an absolute schmuck and blamed the federal government cutting funding for local law enforcement for that murder when no, law enforcement did its job. They arrested the guy 14 times. Yeah. It was the Democrat system in your Democrat city that failed. And now why did it fail? Well, a lot of people have said, well, George Soros is getting all these DAs in there and he's trying to do Cloward Piven and undermine. I don't think that's it. I think that this is a money-making operation, and they realized that they could make more money by keeping these people out of prison, as it has been alleged that she benefits from one of her own private companies. This is a woman who is not a lawyer. She did not pass the bar. She is not she was appointed into this position because she's got friends and said, hey, you'll be part of this money-making scheme. And so is a Democrat city going to hold themselves accountable? Are they going to impeach this judge? Are they going to kick her out for ethics violations? No, they're absolutely not. In fact, the Democrat mayor just won her primary. And so the Democrat mayor that came out and said that horrible press release about this murder is going to be right back. And so the Democrat cities are not going to hold themselves accountable. And, you have people like Milo saying, well, something's got to be done. And we're going to have to go in there and fix their own problems for them. It would be great if we could do it through legal means, like pursuing them in massive RICO cases or whatever. But I just don't know. I don't know if we have the time or ability to do that. Like, we're talking about rapidly closing windows and also rapidly escalating violence.
Yeah, Mark, we sit here and I come on the air every day and do my show. You do your show a few days a week and we talk a few days a week. If I had the answers, I'd come out here and tell you. And if you had the answers, you'd come out and tell the world. We're stuck between truly a rock and a hard place, because you have one party who is for law, order, and borders in this country and truth, justice, and the American way. And you have one party that's just total anarchy, doesn't care what happens to anybody but themselves. The polling, I mean, this is your wheelhouse, shows that these people are losing support at record paces. They can't seem to save themselves, from get out of their own way. They're walking with their shoes tied together. Yet somehow people still vote for these people. Yet somehow people still tune into CNN and MSNBC to be brainwashed. I mean, they're literally brainwashing people now, Mark, into violence. And when the Republicans, when the people on the right want to protest peacefully, they're insurrectionists. They go to jail for 3 years with no trials. When the Democrats want to do it, Mark, they're out on the streets with no bail the next day, allowed to do whatever kind of crime they want to do.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a religion. Now, it is shrinking, though. MSNBC, CNN viewership is going down. The Democrats are losing. Now, the problem is there's a lot of Democrats who will continue to vote Democrat. They'll continue to turn out, and they're not necessarily strict adherents to the religion. But every single one of these political leaders is, and there is about 30% of the country that is. Now, those people, I think, will turn out to No Kings rallies. I think those people will, but those aren't the people that are the problem here. They basically have an organization of shock troops. Now, whether there's people behind that coordinating it or not, that's the situation we're in. And their religion basically loves the fact that those people exist. Like, look at the ghouls that came out. If there had been a major killing on the left, I wouldn't have been out there cheering at all. And they're doing it all over the place, and they're revealing absolutely. And they did it again with the Charlotte killing. There were people blaming her, blaming systematic racism, saying that, oh, well, this guy, the mental health system was unfair to him. Everything except taking responsibility. And so that's like, we know they're doing it. They know they're doing it. They continue to do it. And it's going to give us a higher and higher, levels of blowback. And I think that's the plan. I think they're being accelerationists. And it's gotten to the point where the right is being accelerationist too, but in a different and more orderly and more legal way. So now you have Andrew Tate and Elon Musk donating $2.5 million to put up 250 murals in blue cities, like right in the middle of the ghetto, probably is where they're going to put these things. Good. Of the murder victim in Charlotte. Those things will be vandalized, and you will have Democrats vandalizing the image of this beautiful young woman whose life was stolen by black crime. Yep. And that's what's going to be on the mainstream news. And so, listen, I think Trump was trying to unite people behind America first. It's a pretty big freaking tent. Hey, we're going to improve everybody's economy and return law and order. And yet there are people who appear to not want that. And we're headed towards a major conflict because this rift is not being healed.
Yep. Why don't we get some statues up of her too? They did it for George Floyd, a wife-beating drug addict who overdosed on fentanyl. Why don't we get some statues up of her as well? Because what's fair is fair. Color shouldn't matter, Mark. It should matter about what happened, and that's what happened. I want to take a quick break, Mark. When we return, I want to talk about the same BS nonsense statement that we hear from the Democrats every time this happens. There is no room for political violence. We're going to take a quick break. Please stay with us, folks, on Rasmussen Reports. We'll try to get to your questions before the end of the show on our YouTube channel. We appreciate you joining us. Please stay with us. We're coming right back.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that we're making it through. My employees and I want to thank you for your continued support by extending our wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows only $14.98. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.98. But it gets even better. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows $29.98 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including my standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.98. Kings only $1 more. Not only that, order $75 or more, ship absolutely free.
From all of us here at MyPillow,
thanks, America!
Thanks, everybody, for staying with us on our YouTube channel at The Great America Show and at Mark's YouTube channel at Rasmussen Poll. I want to remind you guys all, we appreciate, as I said, you joining us. Be sure to follow us on our respective channels if you're joining us on Mark's and on social media at John Fawcett NY, and for Mark at Honest Pollster. And if you want to follow us on our YouTube channels at The Great America Show and at Rasmussen Poll. I stream every day. Mark streams a few days a week. We appreciate you joining us. Mark, there's no room in America for political violence. Agree or disagree?
Agree, but it appears that we're heading towards a world with more political violence. I don't know what to tell you. I don't want it. I don't want it for my kids. I want things fixed. But it has to get to the point where people don't tolerate it. And I think we're at that turning point.
One-sided, Mark. It cannot be one-sided. When patriots want to go and contest a clearly stolen election, when they want to go with American flags and stand in front of a Capitol and demand a recount peacefully.
Yeah, peacefully.
When they want to go to a rally and support President Trump peacefully. There shouldn't be a double standard that those people are insurrectionists, terrorists, domestic terrorists, and these people who are attempting to assassinate people and successfully doing it are just one-offs.
Yeah, my advice to the Trump administration and to Republicans. The Trump administration's numbers were best when we were literally taking a strap to the federal government. We were hatcheting off USAID. We were like force firing tens of thousands of people out of federal agents. Trump's numbers were through the roof. Yeah. They're not bad now. He's not doing bad. But I think that if he aggressively goes after crime, if he aggressively addresses the failings of these federal institutions that let things get this bad, then that might be enough to make up for the fact that the Republicans just are not playing ball legislatively. But you had John Thune come out just this week. Sounds like he's going to use the nuclear option in order to force through the back. Okay, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, because Mark, you remember, and I'm not blaming you for this, I'm blaming him for this. Over the summer, just a month ago, Mark, he had the option. Donald Trump went on Twitter and asked him publicly, just leave a recess in the summer and we will do recess appointments. Thune did everything he can and then some to not have the recess appointments and went further for unanimous consent to not have this. Now, all of a sudden, Thune wants to do this. They're pulling the wool over the eyes of all of us, Mark, and it's up to you and I to tell the people that.
Yeah, I've heard so much about that. I don't know what's true. And I would love to have seen recess appointments because I just want to see Republicans break a sweat.
Why didn't he do it?
And they didn't. They sent a delegate to Israel instead. So now, yeah, right. So now I think this is my guess from what I've heard, piecing things together, is that Thune was told by Democrats there was probably some deal where it's like, after recess, let us get recess. After recess, we'll give you these appointments. And now Chuck Schumer is, I guess, went back on his word or whatever. For whatever reason, those things aren't happening. And now John Thune's like, now I do think it's like, there is a period of time, I think, where it's like, okay, appropriate for them to try to stick to the rules. But we all know Democrats who are stoking political violence are going to use the nuclear option for everything. The second they take control of the Senate on January 21st or 20th, 2027, right? Or whatever day. So my advice would be to preempt that. If you're going to potentially go nuclear, just do the whole thing and let's get some new legislation in. Like maybe pass a law about stoking violence on the mainstream media. I don't know. I think a lot of people would be supportive of that. Maybe a law where it's like you hold blue cities accountable for crime by pulling federal funding from them. I think that would pass through both sides of the Congress with flying colors, wouldn't it? Right now, it'd be super popular.
Until it came time to go to a federal judge, Mark, and the federal judge says, yeah, you can't do this. Making a deal with the Democrats, John Thune should have known this, and John Thune's been in the Senate for a very long time, is like making a deal with the devil, Mark. Now, they're worried about the backlash of the nuclear option, but he wasn't worried. He was worried about the backlash of the recess appointments, but not about it makes zero sense, which makes you wonder whose side is John Thune really on? Or you look at Chuck Grassley for the blue slip policy. Now, for everyone who doesn't know about the blue slip policy, it's a total nonsensical policy where two senators from your state, so we'll use Alina Habba as the one I usually use, Mark, from New Jersey, two Marxist Dem senators, Kim and Booker, they have to return these blue slips to say, okay, this U.S. attorney is good, we're good with her. If they don't return it, that person can never be confirmed. Well, of course they're not going to confirm her because she was a Donald Trump appointee. She's a Donald Trump attorney. She stood by the president's side through all his legal fights. yet Chuck Grassley allows this to happen.
Well, I think I know why that is. And everybody says Chuck Grassley's awesome. He's so great. He's a staunch conservative. Maybe, right? Maybe not. He's been there a long time, though. And I think I know why they don't want to get rid of the blue slip thing, even though Trump is calling for it and says it's stupid. Don't you think that that's probably really valuable to the special interests that back you? Don't you think like pharma being able to blue slip somebody like Ed Martin or whatever? Don't you think that they want to keep that because it's one of the most valuable tools they have for the people that pay for their campaigns and probably fund other stuff that we don't know about, you know, bricks of gold showing up in refrigerators or whatever. So I hate to say it, but the Republicans and Democrats, I think, are probably equally corrupt. The only difference is the Democrats are better at it.
Yep. They are 100% equally corrupt. And people get mad at me that I go after Republicans, but I don't care. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat, Mark. I'm America first. I'm MAGA. And you got to call it out for what it is. You can't protect people on one side when they want to do crime and then, you know, call it out on the other side when it's on. You're hypocritical if you decide to do that. The Republicans are absolutely worse than the Democrats. They're nowhere near as smart. They get outplayed every single time. I mean, you just pointed out one instance, John Thune getting played like a fiddle by Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer's been there for 100 years. I have Roger Stone on every week, and Roger told me a story this week that Chuck Schumer had a side girlfriend, Mark, and that when they broke up, he asked for the mattress back that he had bought her. I thought it was one of the funniest stories I've ever heard, asking someone for a used mattress back. But he gets played by Chuck Schumer. How dumb do you have to be to get played by this guy? And, you know, you look back, and everything, Mark, is behind closed doors. John Thune's appointment, whatever you want to call it, I call it an appointment, done behind closed doors. We don't know who voted for who. I would have liked to see Rick Scott there. I think a lot of people would have liked to see Rick Scott there or somebody more conservative than Thune. I mean, Thune is cut from the same cloth as Mitch McConnell, will age there just like Mitch McConnell did. And we will see nothing get done. Backroom deal, Mark, after backroom deal, as you just mentioned.
A lot of this stuff I think is open and public. I wish I had time to really go after it, because if you ask Grok or you ask an AI to tell you, okay, how much pharmaceutical backing did this person get? It'll say a lot. 70% of the people in the Senate got money from the pharmaceutical industry. And then people will say, no, you're wrong. That's all private contributions. That's just people that work there, you know? There's nothing wrong with that. But then you'll go and look, and I found an article that said in February of 2022, so if you think back, that's before the midterms, right? And it's when Mitch McConnell was still the head of the Senate. John Thune was Senate Majority Whip. All of a sudden in February, 1 week after another, the CEOs of 3 different pharmaceutical companies, Pfizer, Gilead, and Eli Lilly, plus 3 different lobbying organizations, all donated maximum personal contributions to John Thune. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Why would the CEO of Pfizer donate to John Thune and then all the other ones donate? And then I think part of it is, well, you know, if you want to get up the chain of command, if you want a promotion, if you want to be one of the top people, the best people at the top of a multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical company, you probably donate to the same people that your boss does. And so I think that there's all these things like that. And everybody, it's a nod and a wink. They're all laughing at the taxpayers. They think that Trump probably, oh, isn't that cute? He cares about the little people. Sure, he's useful to us. We'll make common cause for now. Yeah. We're sure as hell not going to change anything. Like, we're not going to, like, perish the thought that the establishment changes even the slightest minutia. They are afraid of even a 2-word change in the rules. You can, with palpable fear. They don't understand how it upsets the horse cart, how it changes the calculus of their grift that has deep foundations. It's been laid for decades. They have so many ways to steal we probably don't even know about.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I want to pivot back a little bit towards with Charlie and some of the work that he did, Mark, because you've been doing some polling on some of the lives that Charlie was changing. And it was a particular range of 18 to, I guess, 29 is the polling that you do. And he did such a good job of making it cool for college kids to be involved in politics, making it cool for college kids to be engaged in who the next president is. Did a lot of work for President Trump in helping him get elected. as it pertains to college students. I just hope that the work that he did and the dedication he did can be held and be strong, as that key demographic of 18 to 29 is going to be the future of America one day.
We're screwed. I mean, we really are. I just did a set of polls. Now, I agree with you 100%. Trump had a message that resonated very much with these people.
Yeah.
And I have a set of polls. It's 18 to 39, but we have breakdowns to 18 to 29 also. The 18 to 39-year-olds, Trump did about 20 points better with them than he did against Hillary Clinton in 2016. I think Charlie Kirk, I mean, most of them go to college, right? And they all get radicalized. And Chuck Grassley, sure as hell, isn't appealing to a 19-year-old on a college campus. Who else is fighting that fight? I mean, there's a couple of people. There's probably PragerU and probably some online influencers that the Republican Party completely ignores. But it's basically Turning Point and a couple of youth organizations. That's all they got. It's not a lot of stuff happening there. And Trump did amazing with these people. And now everybody's patting on themselves on the back, saying that this is the most conservative young people we've seen in decades. And this polling I just did absolutely proves that lie. These people are not conservative. They just want somebody to aggressively fix the system. And if Trump's not on the ticket, they are not going to turn out. The Republicans are completely sleeping on this. Trump's only down 7 points among 18 to 29-year-olds. The Republicans are down 16 points on the generic ballot with these people. They underperformed Trump by like 12, 13, 14 points. But the people who think they're conservative, even who voted for Trump, who self-ID as Republicans, these people are not conservative. Only 1/3 of 18 to 39-year-old self-ID'd Republicans say no to income caps. 78% of them want major industries nationalized, like energy, tech, and healthcare.
Wow.
A majority of them, 56% of them, wanted excess wealth, like extra boats and private boats, extra houses, confiscated. This is the Republicans. And so these people, if Trump can't fix this, they are going to go to somebody else who will. And it's probably going to be somebody like Bernie, because they don't want to hear, oh, elect me and I'm going to give you entitlement reform. They don't want to hear that crap. They don't want to hear about Larry Kudlow talking about the Laffer curve and trickle down economics. They want law and order. They want to form families. They can't buy a house. And they're going to, we're going to have a whole lost generation. Right now, the unemployment rate among these people is 17%. But the AI job layoffs are just starting to happen now. And we haven't even had a real recession. Yeah. So the second we have a real recession, I think it's going to pop off. I think these people are going to be out in the streets doing the same stuff you see in France and Nepal. And, things are going to get burned down.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And we're seeing it right now. By the way, you mentioned Larry Kudlow. I mean, it's like Sean Hannity. He goes on a show and repeats himself every night. Supply side this, supply Laffer curve. Nobody normal knows what you're talking about. The average American doesn't care what you're talking about. They want to see their prices go down. They don't care to learn what the Laffer curve is. Nobody cares about that, Mark. They want to see their prices go down on things. And a funny story about Larry Kudlow, Lou Dobbs had to teach him about trade. He's always this free trader, and Lou says, no, it's about fair trade. Lo and behold, Kudlow shifted, his view on it. But no, you're absolutely right. The Republican Party needs to reinvigorate themselves, or they're going to get their rear ends beat. Like we're about to see right now, a new New York Times Siena poll has Zohan Mamdani up like 30 points today to Cuomo, the pedophile, whatever you want to call him. I don't know, the sexual assault alleged man.
Mass murderer,
Yeah, mass murderer. Up 30 points on him. It looks like the writing is on the wall for New York. They're screwed.
Yeah. We talked about him last week, maybe.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, should Trump help him out, Cuomo out by giving Eric Adams? No, New York's just got to suck on this. I'm sorry. I worked in New York City. I live really close to it.
Yeah.
And I think what Mamdani will show us isn't what New York City looks like if it's led by a communist. It'll show us how communist was New York City City Council already. Because if they're not commies and they love New York City, then they will shut this guy down somehow. They will have a staffer accuse him of sexual assault. They'll do something, right? or they'll be like, sweet, this is what we've been waiting for. And you're about to see how corrupt the biggest blue city is. And it's probably really bad, I'm guessing.
These guys, it's absolutely corrupt, and they're going to destroy this place, Mark, and burn this thing to the ground. And you know what? If that's what they want, then that's what they're going to get. And there's no other way to do it. There's no other way to save it. People voted for it. Don't engage in election interference. Deal with it, and you deal with the repercussions. Before we wrap, Mark, let's try to get to some of these questions. I mean, there's a lot of them. If you want to check on your side, and we can get to yours, I've got hundreds of them over here on my side. We're going to try to get through over here. Melly over on YouTube. Yes, they went too far. The lying media and lying Democrats have been citing violence against all MAGA supporters for far so long. It's no wonder. It's almost daily. Another leftist has gone too far. Yeah. And there's no justification for it. There's no justification for the violence, I think. But the Democrats somehow always find a way with the same BS statement that I said, no room for political violence, but it means for no room for political violence on the right. The left, they can do whatever they want. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, I don't remember the last time we've seen one of these mass murderers come out to be some strong MAGA Republican.
Well, have they ever been? Most strong men have self-control and discipline. What we used to see was young, lost men in broken homes on SSRIs. And now those people are just trannies because maybe their parenting situation is a little bit more important than we've thought before. And maybe the drugs too. And there's still a lot of people on these drugs, but I don't think we're going to see any anymore. And again, I'm actually really, really astounded by how much self-control the right does have in this situation. They've been called fascists. Everybody says they're violent extremists. And, you know, a lot of people would take that as a permission slip to go hog wild, and they have not at all. You know, what did they do? They did a couple of spin outs on tranny flags painted on the streets. That's literally what we've seen. And so there's been some resistance out there, but now what you're seeing is, again, I think the start of something new, and I don't know how big this movement will go, but people are saying things on the internet today that only Nick Fuentes was saying a year ago. It's really changed really fast. And I think people should be free to address issues like this. I don't think misinformation is being spread on Twitter. I think it's an open exchange of ideas, and a lot of people are revealing themselves. It's not having sound logic and having, quite frankly, very, 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 very demonic underlying core philosophies. Like, if you think that murder of Irina Zarutska in North Carolina was revenge for 400 years of white oppression, people should, you know, brutally assault you with words, right? And we're seeing that now. So that's good. I think it's new. I think that the Democrats are really committed to an accelerationist path for the future. And we'll see. We'll see, because Trump's not going to back down.
You brought up a really good point there, Mark. You mentioned self-control. And you and I think, have spoken about this before. Back when you and I were kids, there were things I'm sure that pissed us off. And we'd either get into a fist fight on the playground, or you'd go home and cry about it, or, bitch and moan about it to your parents. And the next day you went to school and it was all over again. You know, or if you want to fast forward to adult life, you know, you had a bad day. You went home, you had a drink, or whatever, you know, it may be. And the next day it all blew over. It doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. I don't know if it's the SSRI problem, the social media aspect of it. I don't know what it is, but there's been this enraged. Go ahead.
No, it's the social media, 100%. If you said the wrong thing on the schoolyard back in 1984, you'd get popped in the mouth.
Yeah.
And so you learned what the boundaries were. This is very natural. And listen, if you raise dogs and they aren't socialized in the first 8 weeks, you're going to have a neurotic dog that attacks people. I think humans are like that as well. We learn boundaries through play. We learn our place in the social order. We respect our elders. All of these things have been broken. It's been, yes, there's some of it has been the attack on the family unit, the undermining of our society, the attack on Western values, all of it, yes. But also on the internet, there are no consequences for bad behavior generally. And I think there's going to be increasing consequences for bad behavior, especially on the internet. And I think it's great. I think it's the beginning of the pendulum swinging back.
Yeah.
And we'll see how far it goes. I don't know.
Over Slicknard, who are the instigators? Democrats. I think we went through enough of that earlier on in the show of these people inciting this violence and this hateful rhetoric for 10 years. It's not been 1 month, Mark. It's not been a week. It's every single day for the last 10 years since 2015 when Donald Trump came down that escalator. They've been inciting violence, hate. So this day was bound to happen. It's so sad to think about it, that we've been watching it unfold before our eyes, Mark. They tried to get Donald Trump twice, almost got him once. The day has been coming, and nobody has sat back and stopped and said, like, how did it get to this point? And nobody wants to point fingers at the people who have perpetrated this, the Democrats and the mainstream media.
It's been escalating. Because remember in the beginning, it's, oh, he's weird. Oh, he doesn't know anything about it. Oh, he's a racist. Oh, he's, got little hands and he's orange. Oh, he's a dictator. Oh, he's a sexual offender. Oh, he's a convicted felon. Oh, he's a dictator. He's literally Hitler. We need to, normalize violence to him. Like, they've literally ratcheted up. And yeah, the internet, mostly a lot of the internet was blowback. Kathy Griffin got raked over the coals, but this is different. Like, this is like, I think, again, I don't know. I use this analogy. I don't think you can put the toothpaste back in the tube now, because this has literally changed. Like, this is a major, major figure of the right, a very influential person that had a lot of promise and future. And the course of history has been changed in some way for America. I think what we'll see is that things will change faster. I just don't know how. We have a super chat on my side too. Let me try and find it. Can you see it?
Give me a second. Let me get to it. While we're looking for it real quick, just a few moments ago, the FBI says a second person of interest in the assassination of Charlie Kirk has been released after interrogation. Our investigation continues, and we'll continue to release information in the interest of transparency. I'm not sure if that's an additional person who they believed was the shooter. I'll look into that while you get to that.
Yeah. And also, it looks like Elizabeth Warren has already used this for the most obvious thing, which is calling for more gun control legislation. Unbelievable. Because this shot could have been taken with a hunting rifle, for all we know. It could have been taken with Grandpappy's 308 with a hunting scope. I mean, unbelievable. So Uriah and Dad, $2. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much. They're asking for whatever happens next.
Yeah, I'm wondering the same.
I guess we'll see tomorrow what happens next.
I think they're speaking. So we had one here too that I just scrolled past because there's so many. I think they're probably talking general picture, Mark, what happens next with this situation. And I wish I had an answer. I really don't know, because I don't know how much more people are going to tolerate. The problem with these people, Mark, who are perpetrating this hatred is they're bedroom dwellers. They sit in their bedroom until it comes time to be the coward. And then they come out of the bedroom to be the coward that they are. They never face their person face to face with their hands, with whatever. It's always a coward from afar. We saw it with Luigi Mangione, with the United Healthcare CEO. We saw it with President Trump's 2 assassins. We saw it with the disgusting man who stabbed the girl in the back of her neck while she was turned around. We saw it today with Charlie Kirk, with this man taking a shot 200 yards. I don't know what's next, and I don't know how much more people are going to tolerate this.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's fascinating to watch these minds work. And so I often go into their places and try to allow their narratives to wash over me. You make fun of me for going to Reddit.
You love it.
But I just went to Reddit Politics, and you want to know what the hot stories are on Reddit Politics right now? You're not going to believe this, John. Senate GOP blocks amendment to release Epstein files. Schumer ambushes Republicans with amendment to force vote on Epstein files. Schumer moves to force vote on Epstein files in brazen breach of Senate protocol. Pete Hegseth, Department of War. Dem orders congressional probe into Epstein and Peter Thiel's relationship. These are the stories that matter to core left right now. Unbelievable. I literally don't see Charlie Kirk anywhere here at all. As if it never happened. They will literally shut it off from their brain. They will quarantine their logic and reason and humanity from major political happenings. It's unbelievable. Trump reacts to Russian drone attack on Poland. On and on. I'm like 30 stories deep here. I haven't seen it yet.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just I'm like torn between upset, Mark, because watching that video so many times, it's sick to my stomach watching it happen. And I'm like torn between like how we gotten this far, how it can happen to any single one of us at any point in given time. And I told you today when we spoke earlier on the phone, it was so strange. Yesterday, I'm laying in bed, getting ready to go to bed, Mark, and I'm thinking to myself, like, what if something happens to somebody like this? And it wasn't the exact way of how things folded out today, but I'm sitting in bed last night thinking maybe something doesn't seem right. We're in a time right now where there's so much covered up, cowardly hatred that's going to explode. And then we find out this happens today, and it's just I'm sick to my stomach just thinking about it, Mark. I just don't know how we get ourselves out of this, because it's not Donald Trump. It's not MAGA. These people don't have anyone who's ever been to a Trump rally or any sort of Trump event. They're the happiest people in the world.
Yeah, that's right.
The hate is perpetrated on one side and one side only, and it's passive aggressiveness too.
I don't know how it ends, but you've heard my theories on the fourth turning. I think that's where we're going to go. And all I can tell you is that things move fast. And I don't want to like pile on with the negative stuff, but there was a really fascinating story out of Zero Hedge on Sunday, September 7th. World War III, French hospitals told to prepare for a major military engagement within 6 months, to include stating between 10,000 and 50,000 people are expected to be in hospitals, incremental. Wow. And it goes on to quote the head of NATO, who says that everybody needs to prepare to expect a dual assault from China on Taiwan and Russia on NATO territory that could spark a global conflict. And so it's really wild how finally, after decades, when all of the power structures and narratives of this subversive communist agenda all start to crumble, now we're on the brink of World War III. And so I think they just can't wait to shove these young people into the meat grinder that is Eurasian mud fields and South Pacific island hopping, in order to fix all of the problems of an establishment that grifted too close to the sun.
Yeah. I'm just in shell shock still, Mark, of the time we're living in right now. You mentioned the fourth turning. We're there. I mean, we're literally crossing into it with no end in sight either, because it doesn't look like there's anything to stifle what's going on. The left is getting worse and the Republicans are getting weaker. So it's like,
yeah,
how does this come to a point? And I mean, a civil war, as scary as it sounds, seems to be like the only. It's like the economy. I mean, what's the only way you bring down the rates on things? You get a recession. It's the inevitable that you don't want to happen. Yeah. That's going to happen.
The way I see it, John, is I think this is like a pissing match, and we don't know who's going to win. It's like a standoff, essentially, right? So it's like on one side you have, well, how bad are things going to get for the youth and how rapidly? And if it gets bad rapidly, okay, you're in Weimar Germany, you're in the 1930s, and they're going to glom on to whatever really charismatic leader comes along that seems to have the answers. Who is that going to be? I have no idea. It could be somebody like Mr. Beast. They could come out of nowhere. It's just going to be somebody that captures everybody's attention. Or if Trump is very effective at calling these people out and forcing his reforms down their throats and marching his National Guard through the streets of Chicago and San Francisco and all these other cities, right? It becomes the Democrats' game of, well, how far are you going to push Trump? How far are you going to resist? Are you going to have your state troopers build a barricade for the National Guard? Are you going to have your law enforcement resist arrest if Trump tries to roll up a blue state governor for illegal corruption activities? I would love to see that. I think a lot of these people are hopelessly corrupt, and Trump needs to arrest as many people as possible. And if that forces some kind of conflict or friction, we need to get that out of our system. Like, that's what happens. Like, there is pressure built up. It needs to be released. It's like an earthquake. You're either going to let it go until it brings down San Francisco in 1906, or there's going to be like a couple of these little things, these little aftershocks that relieve the pressure. but the pressure's built up. Like, that's the problem.
You know, I'm just thinking, as you mentioned that stuff, this war really started, Mark, along with Donald Trump, with the police. At least here in New York, how many police do we see assassinated? How many police officers do we see killed? How many police officers do we see brutalized? And I mean, it sets the bar pretty high when you're testing the rule of law with police officers, to then move on to political pundits and Republicans, you know, across the board.
Yeah, that's right. And they love to blame the police too. Oh, it's the police's fault we have all this crime. No. Like, you've literally destroyed every accountability structure in our country. Every accountability structure. And who do they resist the most? The person who says, I'm going to bring back accountability.
Yeah. They can't handle it.
Society is going to bring back accountability now.
We have no choice. We have no choice, Mark. This is the corner that we're pushed into. I want to clarify. We got a tweet from Director Kash Patel. The subject in custody has been released after interrogation by law enforcement. Our investigation continues, and we'll continue to release information in interest of transparency. So the shooter, the assassin, the coward, who I hope has put a bullet through his head right now, painfully, is still on the loose.
I think that person was dressed in black, picked a really great spot, knew what they're doing, and all these pedantic scumbags that fired a rifle twice and think they know the answer. That's a difficult shot. 200 yards is a tough shot. You need to be smart enough to use a relatively heavy caliber. You have to have used it before. You have to have the right optic. There could have been wind. You didn't know that you were going to have the right angle. Like, there was planning that was put into this. How the hell did he get on the roof of a college institution? Probably was locked. I don't know. And he was dressed in black, and he's at large. And so this is a little bit different than a guy who reasonably assumed that the Secret Service was going to splatter his brain 10 seconds later, to somebody who made, in my opinion, a very calculated political hit on a very influential figure and was successful. And he's at large. So I don't know. He probably has a hit list, is my guess.
You know, the crazy thing, I was listening to the police reports of it. They were tracking this guy on the roof of the building. They were tracking him around campus. You hear him on the police scanner. One of the Twitter pages has put it out.
Really?
They're tracking this guy around the building. I'll see if I can pull it up here.
I saw a video of they saw him before the shot. I saw some people, but I didn't know if they had actually phoned it into anyone.
I don't think anyone phoned it in, but yeah, you saw him scurrying around on the roof. You know, it seems to be the normal set of occurrence, Mark. A man just scurrying around on the roof like a true coward because, you know, they've got to hide from, you know, society because they're, you know, terrified people. But yeah, the police reports were that this man was wearing, you said black. I think they said blue jeans and a black shirt. I'm going to try to pull it up here.
Yeah, it was like a black mask and whatever, right?
Yeah, of course, masked, you know, because that's the manly thing to do. That's the manly thing to do. It's just, it's so sickening. Shout out to the New York Yankees giving this scoreboard, the big scoreboard tonight, the Jumbotron, to Charlie Kirk and remembering him at the honorable thing to do. I guess there are still some good people in this world when you've got so much going on. I'm going to try to find this so we can get it up. Let's see. Do you have any comments, questions, concerns over on your YouTube? I'm trying to roll through these. A lot of haters on the YouTube tonight. Imagine that.
Really
sick people. Let's see
where it is.
Let's see.
No, I'm seeing a lot of support for Charlie Kirk, and that's it for the super chats.
Let's see. Let's see.
John, we're in the field tonight.
What do we got?
Snap poll. We'll have the results tomorrow morning on the Charlotte killing, which I think is a very big deal. This is obviously going to steal a lot of its oxygen. They're both horrifying. Like, I don't mean to sort of demean, but this is going to be, I think, very influential in the midterm elections, especially in the North Carolina Senate race. And I don't think we've seen the end. Like, Trump very predictably came out and said that he is going to push for an execution. I don't know if he's going to push for a public execution, but we're going to poll on whether people still support the capital punishment, which they did by a plurality back in 2019. And then we're going to talk. We're going to see how many people actually saw the picture of the killer, and a whole bunch of other questions. So it should be pretty.
People need to have the most pain inflicted on them possibly, Mark, for the trouble that they've put society through. That the Charlotte thing was so, and even that's the thing, Mark. The mainstream media tried to. One of the networks was trying to like justify, well, you know, he's a black guy in a world, and she was a white woman who may have never given him a chance. First of all, I think it was a completely platonic situation. I don't think there was any sexuality to the thing whatsoever. But these people are so perverse that they try to spin this thing any way possible to try to justify a black man killing a white girl.
Yeah. Oh, we don't know what the motive was.
No.
Never mind that he said, "Oh, I got that white girl on video." They'll literally lie, and they'll say, you know, mental health, even though it's alleged that his tattoos imply that he was a member of his city's Bloods gang or whatever. I mean, how stupid do they think people are? When people feel threatened or angry or dangerous or in danger, they open their eyes. Like COVID, I'll tell you this one too. We've been polling on COVID, as you know, and I don't want to like hurt us with the YouTube stream, but the answer to the question, how likely is it that the vaccines have caused a significant number of unexplained deaths? We set record with that one, record high, strong majority. And so people are waking up, and that's a very good trend.
Yeah. Let's see. We've got some YouTube. This is
here's a super chat.
Real quick. Before we get to that, we got this one up real quick. John Ashworth over on YouTube. The left went too far years ago when they removed the 10 Commandments and stopped prayers in school. We have been slow or too scared to fight it. I think you're absolutely right. And that you couple all of this stuff together, John, and whether it be the 10 Commandments, whether it be the men and women's sport, whatever, you couple it all together. And it's just been a slug morphing into an anaconda. And I think we're at that point.
Yeah, not only was it the 10 Commandments, it was also civics. Like they got rid of civics and replaced it with worship of multiculturalism and moral relativism. That's what people are being taught now. Yeah. And I went hard on the Zoomers, and I have a lot more video about that on my channel. But I don't think they should be blamed. Like they are waking up in a world that was built for them that is drastically different than the one that the boomers inherited. They are not being taught the same things. Their parenting is very different. The dating pool is different. The job market is different. The corporate cultures are different. Everything is completely screwed up for these people. And they're going to have to find their own way. And that's the problem. That is the big problem.
Go ahead. You said you had a super chat on your end.
Yeah. Be Twixt, I think it is. $5. Really appreciate it. Mark, question. When was the last time an assassination like this of a political pundit on either side happened? This feels like a first in a generation event. Like, I really don't know, because what is kind of weird is that only in the last 10 years has there really been this trend of mega influencers on the internet. And so it's like, what is this the same as like somebody like Walter Cronkite getting assassinated? I don't know. Like, I don't know if that really ever has happened, but we are in uncharted territory, I think.
Yeah. And the dangerous part about it, Mark, is it puts a target. I say this and people may say it's hyperbolic, but it's not at all, because we're the ones who come out here and put our face and we put words to our face, and we're out in the public domain, and we go to public places and we go visit public places and do things public places. It's scary and chilling.
What's that? Telling them. So, hey, let's.
It's the reality of what
is behind a barbed wire gate, and if you come into my house, you're going to get an M1 Grand in your face. And but not only is he an influencer, an internet influencer, but he built and leads the largest grassroots conservative organization on the right. This is going to have implications for sure.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and it's scary to think about it. That it can just be, could be any of us. Let's see. We've got some people on YouTube calling you and I Nazis. That's new. We're sick. What else? Let's see. Trying to get these. Shout out to.
If you looked at the polls on the Zoomers, these people seem very socialist. They support socialist policies, and they say they want a democratic socialist to win. But if they support Trump and they also want to nationalize major industries, that means they're kind of like nationalistic too.
Yeah.
And so the 18 to 29-year-old polling looks very national socialistic. So, hey, I'm just trying to warn you that the Zoomers are the ones that might be the Nazis, not me.
Yeah. And it's the people on the left. I can assure you of that. I don't have a Nazi bone in my body, but you don't have to tell them that, Mark, because they don't care. They don't care to get to the bottom of the truth. They're sick people. They're hiding their own skeletons in the closet. Let's see.
You've been using that word for 10 years. I don't think it's going to draw any blood now. You know what I mean? To be honest with you.
If I had $1 for every time I was called a Nazi or a racist, I don't have a Nazi bone or a racist bone in my body. Just to be clear. I wouldn't have to work. It comes with it, and you know what? It's lost all meaning to it. So when they call it to Donald Trump, people laugh about it. Whereas maybe 10 years ago, you'd say, "Whoa, like what?" People laugh at it now because it's so stupid.
Yeah, the racism word completely got worn out too. I'll tell you what. I mean, that was a real problem back in 2015 when people were like, Donald Trump is a racist. People are like, oh, really? He wants to deport the Mexicans? Maybe that is racist. Now only 10% of Americans are very concerned about being accused of racism. They're like, I don't care. And you know what I mean? And I think they largely aren't racist. Like right in the middle of June 2020, we asked people, which is closer to your thinking, that Black Lives Matter or that all lives matter? And all lives matter won 2-1. And I think we're going to be asking that question again tonight too. So we'll see if it's changed.
I mean, it seems pretty self-explanatory. Mark, we're going to wrap. This was a terrific live stream, and we appreciate everyone joining us tonight on Mark's pages, on our pages, on the audio versions. We truly appreciate it. Mark, I want to get your words last as we close out here and to talk about and think about the tragedy of a patriot today.
Yeah, it's really sad, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. My niece was a really big Charlie Kirk follower. I don't know him very well. I only talked to him a few times on his show, and he will be sorely missed, though. This is going to have a huge impact. He leaves behind a beautiful wife and children. He leaves behind an organization that I hope still does very well, and I think everybody's just going to try and process it tonight. And I think we're going to wake up to some big news tomorrow. And I just have no idea what it's going to be. There will be a reaction from Trump. He had a very graceful set of truths about it. And I don't know. I wasn't going to go, but I might consider going to AmFest now. I think everybody should consider supporting Turning Point USA. And also sort of piggyback on that. If you're into it, you can go to givesendgo.com/arena, IRYNA, and donate to the effort to build these murals in Democrat cities of the victim of the Charlotte murder as well. I gave $20. You doesn't have to be a big amount, but something you can consider because symbols matter. And we've been given some very strong symbols now, and people are going to run with them. This is like the red and blue F symbol that came out after the 2020 election, this arena mural thing. So I think that's what we're going to be talking about for months. Like, this is incredible. And again, I hope they get this scumbag as fast as possible. Whoever it is.
Yeah. He needs to feel the wrath of pain for what he's done to this community and what he's done to Charlie's family. I got to know Charlie pretty well through having him on with Lou Dobbs and going to his events. And, always a very respectable guy to me, always very nice, always very polite. I know Lou Dobbs admired him, and Charlie had some really nice words to say about Lou when he, passed on. And, Charlie's now joining Lou and the gates of heaven to look down upon us in this great country and this wonderful president who's, leading us all through the golden age. So, thoughts and prayers. I know it's a saying these days, but, thoughts and prayers to Charlie, his family, his newborn children who are now going to grow up without a father because of someone who's just a cowardly scumbag lowlife. There's no other way to put it, Mark. Mark Mitchell, we appreciate you joining us. To Mark's audience, we really, truly appreciate you joining us. Please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button on both Mark's page, both on my page. where you can get more of us each and every day. Mark's Twitter at Honest Pollster, John Fawcett NY on Twitter for me. You can follow me on YouTube at The Great America Show, and you can follow Mark at Rasmussen Poll. Folks, that's all for us tonight here on The Great America Show. We'll see you back here tomorrow for The Great America Show. Myra Flores will be our guest, a lady who redistricted out, Mark. She was redistricted by the Marxist Dems in their redistricting efforts in Texas. Now the tables have turned. She's going to get her old seat back as the Democrats have lost once again. So,
and if I can make one more call to action, if you're going to do anything tonight on this video, especially my followers, what I would love for you to do is go to John Fawcett NY on Twitter and give John a like.
Sure.
He is stand-up guy, great content, awesome show, and he gets ridiculous guests. So you really should do it right now. I want to see those numbers go up because he doesn't spend a ton of time on Twitter, and we want to see him there a lot more often.
Yeah, Mark said, Mark has quickly become one of my best friends. I guess we've been doing this for a year now. One of my best friends and only friends in this political game, and I'm honored to say that because you don't want to have friends in this. You can't trust anybody. And Mark's been down my back about the Twitter game, so I'm going to try to step it up. I'm very busy, Mark, very, very busy, but we're going to try to step it up. So, folks, please be sure to follow Mark, follow myself. We'll see you back here tomorrow for The Great America Show. Folks, where the quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. Same time, same place tomorrow. May God bless you all. May God bless the great Lou Dobbs, and may God bless America, and may God bless Charlie Kirk and his family. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for The Great America Show.